Unit to man's relationship with animals. Activity 1A. Once there was an Arab who owned a very fine horse. The Arab treated him with care and kindness. One day the Arab was attacked by some robbers. He fell off the horse. He was so seriously wounded that he was not able to get up. His horse saw this. He understood that his master was badly hurt. He seized his master's belt between his teeth and brought him home. People who saw this praised both the horse and his master. A secret for two. Montreal is a very large city of Canada, and it has some very wide and big streets like Prince Edward Street. No one knew this street as well as did Pierre Dupin. Pierre had delivered milk to the families on this street for 30 years. He was one of the many milk wagon drivers that worked for a milk company. During the past 15 years, the horse which drew the milk wagon used by Pierre was a large, white horse named Joseph. When the big, white horse first came to the milk company, he didn't have a name. They told Pierre that he could use the white horse. Pierre stroked the horse's neck and looked into his eyes. "This is a nice horse, a kind and gentle one," said Pierre. "I will name him after Saint Joseph, who was also very kind and gentle." Within a year, Joseph knew the milk route as well as Pierre did. Pierre used to say that he didn't need reins, he never touched them. Each morning Pierre arrived at the stables of the milk company at 5 o'clock. The wagon would be loaded and Joseph hitched to it. Pierre would call softly to Joseph, "Go on, my friend," and this splendid combination would stalk proudly down the street. The wagon, without any direction from Pierre, would arrive in Prince Edward Street. The horse would stop at the first house, allow Pierre perhaps 30 seconds to get down from his seat, and put a bottle of milk at the front door. Again the horse would go on, skipping 2 houses and stopping at the third. So down the length of the street the two would go. Then Joseph would turn around and come back along the other side of the street. Yes, Joseph was really a smart horse. At the stables Pierre would boast of Joseph's skill. "I never touch the reins. He knows just where to stop. Why, a blind man could do my job with Joseph pulling the wagon." So it went on for years. Pierre and Joseph grew old together, but gradually, not suddenly. Pierre's huge walrus mustache was pure white now, and Joseph didn't lift his knees so high. Jacques, the foreman of the stables, never noticed that they were getting old until Pierre appeared one day carrying a big walking stick. "Hey Pierre," Jacques laughed. "Maybe you have got the gout, hey?" "Yes, Jacques," replied Pierre uncertainly. "But as one grows old, legs get tired." "You should teach the horse to place the milk bottles at the front door of your customers," Jacques said to him. "He does everything else for you." One morning, the manager of the milk company came to inspect the early morning deliveries. Pointing out to Pierre, Jacques said to him, "Watch how he talks to that horse whom he calls Joseph. See the look in the horse's eyes. I think these two share a secret. Sometimes they seem to chuckle at us as they go off on their route in the morning. Pierre is a good man, but he's getting old. Don't you think he should be retired and given a small pension?" "Of course," said the manager. "He has been on this route now for 30 years, and not even once has there been a complaint against him. Tell him it is time he should rest. His salary will go on just the same." But Pierre refused to retire. He could not bear the thought of not driving his Joseph every day. He said to Jacques, "We are two old men, Joseph and I. Let us wear out together. When Joseph is ready to retire, then I, too, will leave." Jacques, who was a kind man, understood. There was something about Pierre and Joseph which made a man smile tenderly. It was as though each drew some hidden strength from the other. When Pierre was sitting in his seat, and when Joseph was hitched to the wagon, neither seemed old. But when they finished their work, Pierre would limp down the street, seeming very old indeed. The horse's head would also drop and he would walk very wearily to his stall. Then one morning, Jacques had a dreadful news for Pierre. He said, "Pierre, Joseph did not wake this morning. He was very old, Pierre. You know he was 25, and that is like 75 for man." "Yes," Pierre said slowly. "I am 75. Now I shall never see him again. My poor Joseph." Jacques patted Pierre on the shoulder. "We will find another horse just as good as Joseph. Why, in a month's time you'll teach him your route." "We will." But he stopped when he looked into Pierre's eyes. For years Pierre had worn a heavy cap, the peak of which came low over his eyes. Now when Jacques looked into Pierre's eyes, he saw something which startled him. He saw a dead, lifeless look in them. The eyes were mirroring the grief that was in Pierre's heart and in his soul. It was as though his heart and soul had died. "Take today off, Pierre," Jacques said. But before Jacques could complete his sentence, Pierre was already limping down the street. Tears were streaming down his cheeks and he was sobbing. There was a warning yell from the driver of a huge truck that was coming fast, and there was a scream of brakes. But it appeared that Pierre had heard neither. 5 minutes later an ambulance doctor said, "He's dead." Jacques and several of the milk wagon drivers had arrived by then. They looked down at the still figure. "I couldn't help it," the driver of the truck protested. "He walked right into my truck. He never saw it, I guess. He walked into it as though he were blind." The ambulance doctor bent down. "Blind?" he said, looking into Pierre's eyes. "Of course, the man was blind. See those cataracts? This man has been blind for 5 years." Then he turned to Jacques and said, "You say he worked for you. Didn't you know he was blind?" "No, no," Jacques said softly. "None of us knew. There was only one who knew, a friend of his, named Joseph. It was a secret, I think, just between those two." Glossary. Stroked, patted. Gentle, wild. Reins, long narrow straps of a bridle. Stable, a shed to keep horses in. Hitch to, fasten with a rope or harnessed. Stop down, walk down, to skip, to omit, to leave out. To boast, to speak in excessively proud terms. Walrus mustache, long thick mustache. Gout, a disease related. Chuckle, suppressed laugh. Wear out, tire or get exhausted. Tenderly, lovingly, softly. Wearily, tiredly. Take today off, take a leave. Dreadful, causing great fear or anxiety. To sob, to cry from pain, drawing in breath sharply. Warning yell, a sharp loud cry. Horn, signaling possible danger. Scream, screech. Limping down, walking with difficulty. Cataracts, a medical condition in which the lenses of eyes become opaque.
For more videos, subscribe our channel. Eduskill by Pritesh Vadgama.